The one and only Carol Decker on Bizvoices.
And we got a little publishing deal with MCA. It's only 5k, and started sending tapes away. And it all sounds very easy, but it was
Yeah.
it was 6 years.
Carol Decker is a brand.
Obviously, I'm quite reliant on the nostalgia. So working on a new album.
Get rid of the moaners. I like that.
Welcome to Bizvoices, the podcast that amplifies the business beat. Hosted by Cameron Mills, award-winning entrepreneur and founder of the acclaimed Cameron Mills Group. Each episode brings you face-to-face with some of the most influential minds in business today. Join Cameron as he talks to directors, CEOs, and industry leaders, uncovering the struggles of running a successful business and revealing top strategies for growth, leadership, and innovation. Get ready to hear real stories, practical advice, and the insider insights you won't find anywhere else. So, sit back, relax, and let's amplify your business journey on Bizvoices, an Evolution Media production.
Now, I'm super excited to have the one and only Carol Decker on Bizvoices. How you doing, Carol?
Really good, Cameron. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for coming on. This is going to be really fun talking about the music business.
Well, I hope so.
Absolutely. We'll give it a go, shall we? See what happens. Yeah. Now, I just want to go back to talk about the initial start of Tapao and you and how that happened, because these kind of stories can be quite interesting. It might inspire people. It might make people think, well, do you know what? I could actually do that. Or it might make people think the opposite. So, take us back to the start and when you kind of got into Tapao as it is today.
I'll try and précis it. So I went back to art school as a mature student. I was 22.
Cool.
Prior to that, I'd gone to quite a straight-laced girls' grammar school. And then when I left school, didn't do very well in my exams. I was in and out of dead-end jobs. And I ended up on a YTS scheme at the Ironbridge Gorge Museum.
Okay.
And I did love art. And because I was on the art team, I went with a friend with a really bad portfolio and a load of bullshit, and blagged my way into the Wakeman School of Art. And in that environment, I met a different kind of person, artistic, eclectic. And someone said, you have a great voice. Whenever you sing on to the radio, join a band. Yeah, so I went to a party, got introduced to this guy called Julian Ward, who had a local band. They were looking for a singer. I auditioned in a garage in Ludlow.
Nice part of the world, though.
All very rural, and got the job, and then just decided to go for it. So quite late to the party at 22. Then I met Ronnie Rogers, who was a Shrewsbury lad. That's where I lived, and he had another local band called the Cats. I poached him from the Cats to join the Lasers, which was mine and Julian's band. Amazing. And then Ronnie and I started joining in on the songwriting. Previously, Julian had always done it. And then Ronnie and I decided to leave the band and focus on songwriting. And my dad lent us a bit of money, and we got a little publishing deal with MCA. It was only 5k. And we bought some home recording equipment and started sending tapes away. And it all sounds very easy, but it was 6 years.
Wow.
So 22, I was 26 by the time we got some London management, because don't forget, this is Shropshire in the 80s. There's no YouTube. There's no
really rural.
You literally had to post your cassettes, post a little put it in the post, a little biog, a little photo of yourselves, and say, can we take a meeting? Finally get some London management. It was Harvey Goldsmith's company, who was the biggest promoter at the time, did Live Aid and all the huge stars. Amazing. Got signed to his management arm, and then finally got a deal with a subsidiary of Virgin Records called Siren Records, who gave me and Ronnie a deal, and we cobbled together a band out of guys we knew from back home who we knew were good players, and a couple of guys from London. Now we were getting London connections, and they literally learned 5 songs. And we went into a rehearsal studio, and the record company came to see us, and they said, you've got a deal, let's do this.
Wow.
So that's when it was. I was 28 then, and by the time we'd recorded our first album and China in Your Hand was at #1, I was 30 years old.
Amazing.
So, it took a long time.
Yeah, I was going to say, what Jane, I think it's good for people to hear sometimes as well, because it's people think, oh, you know, that just happened and you went on that show and suddenly you had a #1, but people don't realize the graft that's gone into before that, before you were obviously in the public eye to get to that point.
Yeah, well, for 2 years, sorry, I left a bit out. For 2 years, we had a production deal with Rockfield Studios, which is a very famous, because Kingsley, who owns the studio, also wanted to foray into representing artists. So for 2 years, we had loads of downtime at Rockfield with a great producer. Nice. And Kingsley would take our tapes around. He didn't get us a deal, and in the end, after 2 years, we went our separate ways, but he let us take all the tapes with us, and we were able to shop around and then finally had success. Kingsley just didn't quite pull a deal in, but he really sent us on our way, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And that time probably, like you say, was really important in shaping writing and your career in a way as well. So it's all helps, isn't it? All contributes for sure.
Yeah.
Amazing. And you mentioned record labels, and I thought it'd be quite interesting to talk about how a major label, when you got to that point, you know, kind of shaped your career, and maybe for better or for worse, you know, because it's not always the most positive thing in the world, is it? A record label. So, you know, how did that shape your career?
Well, what you get is a huge budget behind you, which you need. And apart from, back then, recording an album was a very expensive process. It was just the start of home recording stuff, you know. So now, you know, you can make an album in your bedroom.
Yeah, absolutely, on a laptop.
It'll sound fantastic.
Yeah.
Back then, I'll give you an idea. So the recording desk, you know, that we did all our demos on, they recorded the soundtrack for Star Wars on it. It was like 20 foot long with 10,000 buttons, you know. And so that was very expensive. So you needed the budget. So the record company were like a bank. But then obviously they want input. They've got opinions, and that's when you can have arguments, because artists tend to feel, look, you like what I do, I'm good at what I do, you just put the money up and shut up, you know. But we did have arguments. And when our first album, Bridge of Spies, which produced by the late great and sadly just recently passed Roy Thomas Baker, when the record company heard the mixes, they hated them. And Roy and David Betteridge, our MD, were having big arguments. We released Heart and Soul in the UK. It went just inside the top 100, like number 98, and straight back out. And we're like, uh-oh, it's over before it's begun.
That's it. Yeah.
I mean, see, look, we told you the mixes. Because what Roy had done, he mixed for MOR radio, AOR radio in the States, a lot of compression on the mixes. And I have to say, when I got my first vinyl copy of the album, I put it on my stereo. We had a pretty good stereo because music was our thing. That's, you know,
of course.
Had no food in the house and couldn't afford the heating, but we had to have a good stereo.
Yeah.
You got to listen to it properly. And I thought, oh, it sounds really compressed. It was a bit hard on the ears, but when you heard it on the radio, it was astonishing, and still is. Heart and Soul still sounds amazing. Sounds like a modern song, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But it sounded a bit weird through stereos, so there's this big row going on. Anyway, so fortunately, America took to Heart and Soul. It went flying up the Billboard charts, #4. A very cool jeans company called Pepe Jeans decided to pick the song up for a cinema advertising campaign.
Amazing.
So we got a reprieve, and it got re-released in the UK, and it went to #4 in the UK, and quite a few countries around the world it went top 5. So we got a reprieve, and then we were fine. And Bridge of Spies went on to be a quadruple platinum album.
Yeah.
So
amazing album, and that
it was nerve-wracking. It was nerve-wracking, I got to tell you.
Yeah, especially with that, like you say, when it kind of didn't go so well the first time, and for you to sort of say, well, we've got to keep pushing, we've got to keep going. That can be quite hard sometimes. Like, I guess, if, you know, carrying on from rejection isn't quite the right word, but, you know, things that don't go quite well, I think we're as humans easily just go, do you know what, it didn't work, I'll do something else.
And although I was like I say, not a baby, I was pushing 30, I was naive about the business. So I used to tend to believe what record companies said, because I think, well, you know what you're talking about, you know about marketing, you know, it's like, oh, you can't, Radio 1 won't play that, it's too long, you've got to cut it down. Or Sex Talk, for example, had to get released as Intimate Strangers, because I said, no, Radio 1 won't play that, with a title called Sex Talk.
Oh, wow.
You know, don't forget, remember Mike Reed got Relaxed by Frankie banned.
Yes,
you know, so all that sort of thing was going on then. You've got to contextualize this. And I was like, oh, okay, if you think so, if you think that's best.
The right thing. Yeah.
But now I'm older, I realise, I should have just gone, no, let's be a bit controversial.
Let's do it. Yeah.
The song was about the phone-in lines. The first time I went to America, I was up watching American TV because I had jet lag. And I couldn't get over the thousands of channels, couldn't get over that because we didn't have them. And then there were all these phone-in sex lines, you know, lots of them gay.
Yeah.
And I suddenly thought of the human side of that, you know, we're already criticised. And I thought about, you know, well, what if you're lonely and you know, you don't have anyone to love you, so you take what you can on the telephone. That's the lyric, you know. And I should have stuck to my guns and said, no, it's a controversial song, it's an edgy song, call it sex talk. I should have fought my corner, but I do have some regrets about going, okay, because if Radio 1 didn't play you in the UK, you were stuffed.
Yeah, absolutely.
You were stuffed. So I was like,
you know.
Okay, I better do what you say.
I'll do what you say. Yeah, and I suppose something like the music industry, it's hard to know. It's hard to know what is the right thing to do. Like you say, you have to kind of trust in people that are in that industry and that they're doing it, because it's not something you've sort of been in before. So you're kind of thinking, do you know what? Yeah, you know.
I remember at that time, I remember reading an interview with Annie Lennox of Eurythmics, and she said, I don't pick the singles. How would I know? You know, I don't know. I'm not objective enough. I know which ones I like. I'm not objective enough, so I keep out of it. And I remember reading her saying that, thinking, I know what you mean, because sometimes you can be so close to something. You know, and sometimes maybe they have got a better overview, but then sometimes they don't, and you do. It's hard. It's a hard call. You never know.
And that's why it's got to have a bit of a balance, isn't it? I think it's good if you can get to a point where you've got a label that you can have that balance with, where actually, do you know what, you're a little bit personally connected to this song. To be honest with you, we think this would be better, and then sometimes you're going to have probably a better opinion than they would. You know.
Well, you've got to have. Although we were on Virgin in the rest of the world, so they were our mother company, we were on Siren in the UK. I think if we'd have been on Virgin, because Richard Branson's such a maverick, he probably would have gone, call it sex talk, let's call it
go for it.
You know, because he signed the Sex Pistols. So, you know, I think if Richard was directly involved, he probably would have gone, go on, let's go hardcore at this.
Yeah, and that's just the great thing about, you know, how the journey path, you know, how it happens, isn't it? And how it goes and how things go. But I want to talk about your image a bit as well, because talking about labels, sometimes they can be quite controlling over what you look like. Oh, you know, you can't wear that. That's not appropriate. No way. And it's kind of similar to those lyrics, isn't it? You're talking about, you can't put those lyrics, you're not going to get played. But you can't wear that because you're not going to be aired. You know, how did that, you know, were you quite influenced with how you looked and what you were wearing?
No, I absolutely picked my own look. And then when you get a budget behind you, we started getting stylists, getting some really cool designer stuff for us.
Nice.
Quite a few of my friends didn't like that. They said, we liked your thrift shop stuff, you know, when you really dressed yourself. The one time I fell out with the record company was we had a song called Only the Lonely.
Yeah.
And if you look for that on YouTube, look for the video, you'll see I'm in a big baggy pair of jeans, Levi's 501s with a big, and I was very tiny then. I was like 7.5 stone. I was a skinny little thing. And my belt cinched in. So the record company always wanted me to show my legs because I have nice legs, you know. And
interesting.
And I've always been. I'm an athletic build, you know. I did a lot of gymnastics and sports, so I did have quite pretty good legs and quite an athletic figure. And I was like, I know I've got great legs, but I'm wearing jeans in this video. I'll get my legs out when I want to get my legs out.
Absolutely. They're my legs. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, my legs, and I'll get them out when I feel like it. Yeah. And so, we had a row about that, but I kept the jeans on. And that was it.
Brilliant. And it's there. It's still on YouTube. Go check it out. Yeah. That's amazing. I love it. I want to talk about, you know, to POW now, because it's still very much a massive thing. You're doing amazing shows, just like, you know, it's that time of year at the moment, isn't it? You're playing some great shows that I'm seeing on your social media. It's so cool to see. And, you know, you've come on to all sorts of great shows, TV shows you're just talking about before we started filming this. You know, is it a different approach now for you? how are you sort of, if the business model isn't the right word, but it kind of is like that. It is a brand, isn't it? Tapao is a brand. Carol Decker is a brand. Is it a different approach to you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm quite reliant on the nostalgia.
Yeah.
Definitely. If I have a frustration, it's that I can't really get traction on my new music, and I find that frustrating.
Yeah, of course.
So, which is why my output hasn't been great. And I know a lot of fans are frustrated by that. But here's the good thing: me and Ronnie are working on a new album as we speak. We've got some great new tracks,
very cool.
and he's persuaded me just to do it for the love of it. Because when you've had hit records, you put an expectation on yourself. I want people to hear this, and I want it to be successful. And if it isn't, I personally find that frustrating. You know, I'm not that altruistic that I can just do it for the sake of it. But Ron said, "Come on, let's do it." So working on a new album, and but I'm very reliant on the love for the 80s at the moment. And it's love for all the previous eras, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, absolutely. They're all growing.
Yeah, I was just speaking to a friend today. He said, I went to see Iron Maiden the other day, and there was all young kids in the audience.
That's great to see, isn't it? Yeah.
Which is nice. And so I love that. I've come to really cherish the fact that our music is remembered fondly, that we've been pivotal points in the soundtrack of people's youths, as other people's music has been for me.
Yes, yeah, exactly that.
I've come to value that. I've come to cherish it, and thank you, everybody. There were times in the past, particularly in the 90s, when the music scene had changed, and these bad boys who just got back together, Liam and Noel, had like obliterated the 80s. Nobody cared about us anymore, you know.
Yeah.
And so I went through a phase of feeling really down and really out, didn't know what I was going to do. And then the beginning of the noughties, got a call to do an arena tour with Paul Young, Kim Wilde and Go West.
Awesome.
And have not stopped.
That's amazing.
So I've come to accept where I am and be grateful for where I am.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm going to put a new record out, and I hope people like it, but I've taken away that, oh, if it doesn't make the charts, it's not worth it anymore. I've taken that out of the equation. I'm just doing it because I love it. And then, so that'll be, I can't tell you when it's going to be out yet, because we're not sure, but 2027 will be 40 years since Bridge of Spies was released.
Oh, wow. That is exciting.
We're thinking of a Bridge of Spies tour, and that will involve actually performing some songs I have never performed live, because I didn't perform all the
of course,
all the tracks
from
Spies that weren't singles, you know.
So you get to go through the whole album and perform all of them.
Which will be terrifying, because we'll have to revisit them. We'll have to rethink some of them. Some of them might be too high for me now. You know, I recorded them 40 years ago, practically.
Amazing.
I'd say I've got probably 98% of my pipes, but
great, your
voice gets older like everything, so there might be a few that I might have to modify. I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be interesting how you approach them as well. You know, like you say, 40 years later, are you sort of singing them with a different feel? You know, do they mean something differently to you? That's going to be really interesting.
So we're in talks with agents and promoters about how Bridge of Spies, specific Bridge of Spies tour would look 2027, what kind of venues we could go into, how many people are out there that care. You know, you've got to look at all of this, crunch the numbers and stuff.
Of course, yeah. How amazing. I love that. And you talking about, you know, how you've kind of just accepted that actually it's the nostalgia and how much people love it and how strong that is. And I know I've been to some of your shows, and I've seen obviously other artists from back in the 80s, and there's something that's very different to seeing a current artist. Like the feel in the audience is much more tangible, I think. I don't know if you agree. There's people thinking, you know, I remember when I was here, I was doing that job, I lived on that road when I heard this song. It's something different. So now when you go see an artist, it's extremely current, and the song's just come out and they've listened to it on their iPhone and it's on the radio, and it's just like, oh, I like singing along to this. But there's nothing quite like when you go and see something that you've got a connection to, and the feel in the audience is something else. It really is.
Oh, thank you. And also, I think when we bought records, although obviously they did shift to CD, you know, you'd go, well, you're too young to remember this, but you'd go to the record shop and you'd leaf through all the records and you'd pick it up. And often bands, I personally did know, always just had a picture of me on the front because I'm vain, but often bands would have an artist do a great album cover. So there was a huge story to the artwork on the front. The person they chose to do it, the sleeve notes. They weren't just the lyrics. So often you do sleeve notes. So a little biog of how the album came about. It's all a really lovely package for the person buying it. And now you're right. You just put your playlist on shuffle, and it's not the same. I don't think it's the same, but I'm very conscious of being an old fart, because we all go.
No, I'm with you. I'm totally with you. I feel like maybe it's not as valued, you know, like as much, because it'll be you'll hear a song out somewhere and you can just Shazam it and it will come up, and you kind of get, you listen to about 20. So, you know, we're all guilty of going, oh, just hear 15 seconds of it. Oh yeah, that's the one. I'll listen to that later, and then you don't.
But the other thing is, and I firmly believe this, that constantly being on our phones and stuff, it does something to your synapses. So you literally, I'm sure we've all developed ADD.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I'm as guilty as the next person of not being able to concentrate anymore. And I used to read voraciously. I used to be a huge reader. I don't anymore. You know, I just
really interesting.
Watching crap all the time, or shouting on Twitter.
Yeah, I do love your Twitter.
I do that far too much.
But I feel like that's grown. I mean, that's another element, I think, for you that's grown, because that there's so much interaction on the stuff that you talk about. It can be anything from a Tesco packaging that's just stupid and it just doesn't work, to, you know, like just be like some experience you've had on stage. I love that. I feel that's almost like a different side to you that's really popular as well, if you know what I mean.
Well, well, I worried for a while, because, you know, the whole cancel culture thing.
Yeah.
I am a person with opinions and a bit of a gob. So in that case, I've got to, you know, take the flak if people have a go at you. But people are really quite nasty sometimes. Because they can be anonymous. You'll never see it. It's a bit like,
exactly,
it cuts someone up in traffic and we all flick the B and scream and give the finger, and, you know, walking past each other on the street, you just wouldn't do that, would you?
No.
You can get away with it. People can get away with it.
Very true.
And they're quite nasty sometimes. But I've tried to just keep my ex account just a sweet and pleasant place. But I just get stuck in. It's like a newspaper to me. Newspaper, and I'm going, you cannot be serious, you know. But I keep the banned Facebook and Instagram completely about kids and shows.
And that's your views, isn't it? You know, like the X thing, that's
Twitter, you. Twitter is me just going, I can't believe what I just read. This is a load of bollocks. Is this
for real? Am I the only one who thinks that this is crazy? And do you know what, you say that people aren't very nice, and if you put things up, but I think that happens if you're nice as well, and if you're putting nice, sweet, lovely things up. I don't think it matters what you say. I think people will find a problem, and there will be negativity. So you just go for it.
And then, as my kids say to me, you don't know that they're not bots.
Yeah.
This is true. This isn't tinfoil hat stuff. There are bad actors out there, like Russia, like China, who pit us against each other. I saw a fantastic drama about it a few years ago, about two kids. They worked, like, they were in East Germany or in Russia somewhere, and they worked in like a bot farm. And it was their job to scroll through everyone's Twitter feed and stuff and pretend to be somebody.
Wow.
So you think I think I'm arguing with you. You're actually just an algorithm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're just arguing with the technology.
It's a thing. So you've got to think, well, am I even talking to a real person?
Yeah.
You know?
And I feel like that with real people sometimes, don't you? Not just on my phone. Am I talking to a real person?
But I guess my attitude is, if I want your opinion, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't often read the comments, which is a shame, because I probably miss out on some really nice ones and supportive ones. But if you see something that's really nasty, I'm only human, and I will go, oh, you know.
Yeah, but that's a great point, isn't it? You're missing out on all that the nice stuff, because you're trying to sort of filter it out, because you just think, I'm not going to bother because there's going to be something not very nice, which is a shame, isn't it, really?
But you're right, social media is part of our gig now, isn't it?
Absolutely. And that's kind of what I was getting at with that. I think, you know, it's a full-time job, isn't it? It really is. And that's a big driving force, because people go, oh yeah, actually that would be perfect, because they'll see you. And it is, I think that links to the constant, you know, being on your phone, lack of attention. People go, oh yeah, I meant to speak to that person, or actually they'd be good for my event, or I'd like to go and see them. It's because we've got so much going on, we forget.
I mean, I'm not brilliant at it. I do it all myself, and Ronnie and my husband, who's also my tour manager, they help with the Facebook.
Okay.
Because I don't do Facebook personally. I don't really, I've never understood it. But I know that some of my peers and friends, they've got teams running their social media, and they're
Yeah.
really slick, and their YouTube channels are amazing. And I'm not that organized. I wish I was, you know.
Yeah, it's a lot though, isn't it, to have all of that? And then there's an expectation, I feel, though, as well, that if you've got somebody running your social media, you've got to be providing some content for them to do as well, which is quite stressful.
You know, those influencers.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Have you seen those people who, like, they do holiday resorts and big hotels?
Yes,
and
yeah.
They must be shattered.
It's a lot, isn't it?
They must be absolutely shattered, because it's the way they earn their living, so they've got to keep it up.
You have to do it, or else they're not going to earn any money. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm just going to stick with the way I do it. I think it's more personal as well, anyway. It really is me.
And I see people reacting with you, and they know that. And I think that goes a long way. I really think it does. Yeah. Now, a question that you hate is me asking about future musicians and what they should do. But I'm going to just do it anyway, because it'd be funny, because I always love your answer. But, you know, if you were a young lady getting into the music industry again, you know, what would you do? How would you do it? Would you do it differently?
Yeah, in as much as I would stick to my own opinion.
Yeah, you know, I love that.
Have the courage of my convictions instead of getting talked out of things, like I said earlier.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you have no idea which way it's going to go, so you've just got to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and if you've got something to say, you've got to say it the way you want to say it, haven't you? But I would definitely get a good lawyer. So I was very trusting, and I did get ripped off, like a lot of bands will tell you from our era. It probably is still going on now, but a lot of bands in the 80s, you know, we got totally shafted by our manager, who we thought was our best friend, you know. But he's dead now, so karma's a bitch, isn't it?
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. I love that. That's good bit of advice. There's a clip there, isn't there, to use?
But yeah, I would always get really good objective legal advice on anything. I was talked into loads of things. Contracts were slipped. Oh, that's going well, isn't it? Anyway, just sign that there. No, don't worry. Well, you know, just sign that there. We'll sort it out later. And I trusted people. Isn't it? Literally, honestly, that happens to me all the time, you know. I was very, very trusting, and also very eager to crack on. And because I knew I was late to the party, I think I probably would have signed anything just to get things going.
Yeah, so of course. And it's your dream, isn't it?
Panicky. I was starting to get a bit panicky, you know. So yeah, believe in yourself. Be good at what you do. Invest in it. So if you need to take singing lessons or guitar, whatever you need to do, be the best that you can. Surround yourself with good, positive people, but realistic people. I had some quite negative people in my career and in my band that I should have got rid of, but I was afraid to rock the boat.
Yeah, and that's hard, having that around, just to keep driving forward and staying positive with that around you is hard.
So I thought I was being strategic by going, yeah, he's a right moaning old shit, but I can't afford to find another keyboard player. I haven't got the time to find other people. But I just got, no, you know what? Over, forget it, get rid of him.
Get it sorted.
Find someone else. It's going to be exhausting, but we're going to have to replace him and rehearse somebody up. But let's do it. When you feel that something isn't right anymore, that you're going in different directions, or sometimes the relationship has exhausted itself. Listen to that little voice and move on. So I do that now. I move on.
That's really good advice, isn't it? And that's the hardest part, is moving on, letting go. I think people are finding that harder and harder, just to let go of something as well, if something isn't working. That's a really good point.
Because if it has worked, then you think, oh, I'm going to mess it up, you know.
Yeah, it's just a fear, isn't it?
You might, but you know, a couple of the regrets I have: not getting legal advice when I knew I should have, assigned my management contract without any guidance whatsoever, got totally ripped off, managed to get some of the money back, but a lot of it went in legal fees, because I had to contest it, and the guy was really sly doing it to me, but I was naive and thought he was my friend. And then getting rid of moaners. Get rid of them. Yeah.
Get rid of moaners. Yeah. I think that's a good finishing quote, don't you? Get rid of the moaners. I like that.
Moaners and the remoaners.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. Oh, that's awesome. Well, thanks for sharing an insight into your career and what's coming up. I really appreciate it, and it's good to catch up with you again. And wishing you all the best with an awesome summer that's coming up. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, thank you for asking me to be on the podcast. It's really nice.
Pleasure. Thanks as always.
Okay, bye.